It is a good thing, and the reason for that is that if we really want to put this pandemic to bed, we have to have vaccines that are available for everyone across the age spectrum. So what you see with vaccine development is that the vaccines are first tested in healthy adults, and then in people with medical conditions, and then eventually in children. Now, I'm a pediatrician and I'm a parent, and I don't want to be giving vaccines to children that haven't been appropriately tested. So these vaccines have been shown to be safe so far in adults, and now they're being tested in children. And hopefully, it won't be for this fall, but hopefully by the new year, there will be vaccines available for all children who go to school, and that would really help put this pandemic to rest.
Yeah, that's the key, is kids going back to school and everybody going back to school, so we're all in the same playing field, so to speak, next fall when the new school year starts. We don't want kids remotely learning again, and I'm a parent too. It's concerning when you hear about little kids getting these shots, but the good news is this mRNA technology is very old. We've had it for more than 70 years now, so the technology itself is not new. It's just being used in a different way. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I wouldn't say 70 years, but it's been decades of research that's led to the development of these vaccines. One of the real challenges is to push back on the story that these vaccines were rushed to market.
Right.
What happened last year in these development was that red tape was cut. And so the processes were streamlined. And, when I look back on the last year and what we can look back on that we want to make sure we do in future pandemics, because there will be additional pandemics, it was this investment of big dollars in the development of vaccines and medicines to treat this ahead of knowing whether any of these would work. So the money was put up front. They looked to see what could be done to streamline the process to get vaccines that were safe, that were effective to people as fast as possible. A year ago, I had no possible inclination that there could be safe, effective vaccines within a year. It's almost miraculous that we have 3 vaccines that are being used now in the United States.
Dr. Besser, we spoke, I don't expect you to remember, but we spoke about a year ago. I was down in Florida working with a local station there, and I asked you about that, and you were skeptical that it could happen in a year. I'll say that. And here we are a year later. Moderna, Pfizer, J&J. America is vaccinating not only Americans, but really the world with these 3 American-based companies putting out these successful vaccines. And I do want to talk about the situation with the AstraZeneca vaccine in Europe. But quickly, the White House, to your point about vaccine hesitancy, the White House is investing billions of dollars now to prevent another surge here in the U.S., including a new ad campaign with all of the living former presidents targeting communities where vaccine hesitancy remains really high, particularly African-American communities. Marvin Hagler, the great boxer, just died. He had the vaccine not long ago. This remains an issue in many communities, especially poorer communities in this country. Is this a smart move?
Yeah, I mean, one of the challenges when you look at the groups that have the highest hesitancy, African American communities have highest hesitancy, but even there, the biggest challenge right now is getting the vaccines to people where they live, getting them to people's local pharmacies, making it as easy as possible. Another group that has high rates of vaccine hesitancy are political conservatives. But as researchers have looked to see what's the best way to reach people, actually politicians are not the best messengers. People want to hear from voices that they trust. And for many, it's their local doctor, it may be their faith leader, it may be someone else in their community. What we're seeing is as more and more people know friends and family members who've gotten the vaccine, the enthusiasm for getting vaccinated is going up. And I hope that as CDC relaxes more of the guidance for people who've been fully vaccinated, that will increase enthusiasm.
Dr. Besser,
I got my first dose of vaccine last week, and I have to say, when I got that shot, just the sense of mental relief in getting that was absolutely huge.
Oh, that's nice to hear, Dr. Besser. I agree. I don't need Jimmy Carter necessarily telling me to get vaccinated. I want to hear it from the same guy I've been seeing, every year since I was a little kid. I want my doctor to tell me about, the merits of the vaccines. I do want to ask you about the situation in Europe, Germany, France, Italy, and yesterday Spain. They're pausing the AstraZeneca vaccination process after a handful, and it's a small number, but there were a handful of brain hemorrhages and blood clots among people there who had been vaccinated. How big a concern is this for us? The AstraZeneca vaccine, not widely used here in the U.S., but is this something for us to keep an eye on?
Well, this is a really challenging situation. So assume no one's getting vaccinated anywhere. Every day around the world, people are going to have strokes and have heart attacks and have blood clots. And what you want to know is it increasing in frequency in people who are being vaccinated? And so as you see tens of millions of people and now hundreds of millions of people getting vaccinated, some people who get the vaccine will have heart attacks. They would have had them otherwise. Will have clots. Will have them otherwise. And so you want to make sure that the investigators are doing their job and are looking at this. But you don't want to pull the plug on vaccine programs too quickly because vaccines are saving lives. And the data that I've seen so far would show that the rate of these clots is not any higher than you would have seen even if there weren't vaccines taking place. So hopefully they'll do their investigations. They'll be able to reassure the public, or they'll look and they'll be very transparent about the evidence.